Never attempt to win by force what can be won by deception. That is Machiavelli's razor-sharp truth, piercing the heart of war without pulling a sword. In a world that trains you to shout, react, retaliate, what if your greatest weapon is silence? When your boss dismisses you, when a rival's words sting, when chaos looms, you are not forced to answer. That moment, your breath held, eyes steady, is your battlefield. The real enemy is not another person. It is the tremor of doubt, the twitch of emotion, the urge to strike back before you're ready. You don't defeat opponents by speaking over them, you unmake them by refusing to engage. You become the silent blade that slides past defenses, sharp precisely because invisible. Ordinary conversations, office politics, social media battles, they are not arguments. They are strategic campaigns for your mind and reputation. Every impulsive reaction hands the advantage to the other side. A mocking text is not a joke, it is an ambush on your composure. A cutting comment is not an insult, it is ammunition aimed at your sense of self. If you respond immediately, you reveal your position. You fortify no wall. If instead you remain still, the attacker begins to show his hand, the hypocrisy, the weakness, the desperation. In that void of response, control shifts. You force them to expose their own vulnerabilities. The stakes are invisible, but lethal. React and you lose dominion over your own throne. Silence, restraint, mastery. They cost you nothing materially, yet they can dismantle power built on noise and chaos. Look at corporate wars, online campaigns, political smear machines, the one who stays still while others scramble. He is the general who wins without a battle, the one who understands that silence is not surrender, but strategy. That is the one who walks away unchallenged, unscathed. Master silence, command restraint. Let your stillness sow doubt in the hearts of others. Do not speak to win, speak only when the battlefield is yours. Become the blade unseen. Silence conquers. Discipline is like war. You have to fight your flaws inside you, or you have to control your mind like a prince leads his troops. That is your first command. You stand before your own throne, or you kneel to the chaos within. Left unchecked, every flicker of fear, every whisper of doubt becomes an invader at your gates. If emotion rules, enemies already hold your throne. Your mind is the battlefield, and without control, it is already lost. Self-control is your crown. When temptation whispers, when panic surges, you do not flinch. You steady your breath. You hold fast. That is discipline. That is war. Because the moment you let impulse command, you hand your power to chaos. Inside you moves a rebel army. The voices of doubt, the specter of insecurity, the sting of shame. They are legion, but you are more. You are the general who surveys the terrain, who sets the traps and sets the pace. You rout that rebellion with calm steel, one thought at a time, one refusal at a time, one unbending resolve. Marcus Aurelius taught that we should discipline ourselves in small things, and from these progress to things of greater value. You do not conquer the mountain in a single leap. You climb stone by stone, face the morning's urgency with a steady heart, push through distraction with unwavering focus, master the small battles and the war is won. When life jars you, demands your attention, triggers your anxiety, return quickly to yourself. Do not stay out of tune longer than you must. Every time you reclaim your center, your command grows stronger. That is not comfort. That is armor. That is your throne. You have power over your mind, not over the storms of life. Recognize it. You win, not by changing the weather, but by mastering how you stand in the storm. In this, you are not powerless. You are invincible. This is not theory. In boardrooms brimming with ambition, in social media battlegrounds glittering with noise, those who master themselves still the wave of pressure before it crashes. They stride through slander without bending. They stand amid pressure without cracking, and the world, hungry for panic, bows before stillness. You are no bystander, you are the ruler. Your mind is the fortress, your silence is your shield, your resolve is your sword. Reclaim your kingdom, rule your inner realm before you command others. There is no victory greater than the one that begins at your core. Master yourself, rule your throne. It is not titles that honor men, but men that honor titles. Machiavelli's words cut to the truth. You are not made by what the world gives you. You are made by how you seize it. And nothing tests this more than the morning. The moment you open your eyes, the war begins. Dawn is the battlefield. The enemy is not out there waiting. It's already inside your room. The phone buzzing with alerts, the warmth of the bed whispering seduction, the sluggish thought telling you 5 more minutes won't hurt. These are not small comforts. They are ambush soldiers, trained to disarm you before you've even stood. If you give in here, you've already lost the campaign. You march into the day not as a general, but as a prisoner chained by weakness. Routine is a weapon. The strongest men and women in history understood this. They treated mornings not as casual hours, but as the formation of their army. A soldier who neglects drill becomes soft. A general who neglects order invites chaos. The same is true for you. If you rise with purpose, with ritual, you carry the authority of command into the world. But if you stumble half awake, scroll through feeds, or surrender to delay, you bleed strength before the day has even begun. Think of laziness as an ambush. Armies in history have been destroyed, not by superior force, but by surprise when they least expected it. Sloth, hesitation, distraction, they attack before your defenses are raised. That just a few more minutes in bed. There is no rest. It is the enemy infiltrating your walls, stealing your fire and leaving you exposed. And what is the modern army invading our mornings? Notifications, social media, digital noise. You reach for your phone, and suddenly your battlefield is filled with distractions. Other people's lives, other people's problems, other people's commands. Your mind is taken hostage before you've even had the chance to think for yourself. You begin the day not as sovereign but as servant, reacting instead of commanding. This is how empires fall, not with one massive defeat, but with small, constant surrenders that weaken the throne. So you must rise like a ruler, taking the field. When you wake, command your body. Set rituals that sharpen your mind before the world can dull it. Exercise, journaling, meditation, cold water. Choose your weapons, but wield them with consistency. These are your drills, your military formations. Every repeated morning victory builds a fortress of discipline that no ambush can penetrate. Understand this, mornings are not casual. They are decisive. The first hour is your coronation or your dethronement. If you seize dawn, you hold the throne of the day. If you let it slip, you will spend the rest of your hours fighting uphill, a ruler overthrown before his army even marched. Command the sunrise. Strike first, before the enemy of distraction has even drawn its sword. Walk into the day armored in discipline, sharpened by routine, unstoppable in direction. Seize the morning, seize the throne. No enterprise is more likely to succeed than one concealed from the enemy until it is ripe for execution. That is Machiavelli's blade-sharp wisdom. Stillness is not submission. It is the silent crouch of the predator. You do not attack from the open field. You wait in the shadows, every muscle coiled, every sense sharpened, until the moment is yours. Others panic, they shout. They move first and reveal everything. But you remain silent, you wait, and in that silence, you gain dominion over the battlefield. You are the general who watches while the armies scatter. In that moment of stillness, the enemy shows his hand, his fear, his confusion, the weaknesses he tries to hide. You do not need to move. You observe. You calculate. Then you strike, not with noise, but with precision. That is strategic patience. That is invisible power. Imagine the pawn on a chessboard that doesn't move. The entire game changes. You force your opponent to shift, to expose strategy, to commit. That pawn is not weak. It is a sentinel, baiting the complacent king, turning patience into power. You use your stillness the same way. Let the world move. Let them broadcast their anxieties, their errors. You stand firm. You wait. Then you act, and your strike lands unopposed. You have seen it in every modern battlefield. The fire in the morning news, the frantic scroll through social feeds, the echo chambers exploding with emotion. They jump, they react, they expose, and you wait, you hold, you build without telling. In that stillness lies your empire, so master the art of silence. Wait while others panic. Let them scorch their own ground with flailing moves. When they run from the storm they created, you appear, not battered or bleeding, but calm, assured, unbroken. Then you flay their foundation with one calculated move. Do not confuse stillness with weakness. It is your cage of steel, your concealment until you are ready. Your invisible blade. Command patience with ruthless intent. Wait. Observe, then strike. Silence is power. Never attempt to win by force what can be won by deception. Machiavelli's principle cuts deeper than any sword. Sometimes the sharpest victory is achieved by removing what holds you down. Power is not defined by what you accumulate. It is forged in what you are ruthless enough to cast away. Each unnecessary tie, each draining promise, each comfort that seduces your energy, these are the anchors sinking your ambition. You are not bloated with allies, you are burdened if they fail you. Not all who smile at you are friends. Some are leeches, some spies, some dependencies masquerading as loyalty. They weigh you down. They whisper that you owe them. Real allies elevate your cause. False ones drain your resources, your time, your focus, your clarity. Identify them. Cut them. Do not offer explanations. Do not allow guilt to cloud your blade. Imagine a general marching through hostile land. His victory depends on speed, agility, clarity. Every extra cart, every unnecessary troop, every excess rations slows him, so he burns supplies he doesn't need. He sheds weight to survive. That is ruthless elimination. In your life, distractions are the dead weight. Endless notifications, multimedia noise, burdensome small talk. Purge them, burn them, march lighter, faster, sharper. Modern life demands your compliance in subtle wars. Every yes to endless requests fuels someone else's agenda. Saying no is not refusal. It is a tactical nuke. It erases entire schemes built on your acquiescence. When you refuse to drain your value, you collapse those dependencies with a single command. Feel the power, say it once, and watch the fragile constructs around you crumble. There was a moment recently, a friend asked for a favor, not because they needed help, but because they expected it. Social norms dangled guilt like a noose. You paused. You chose the throne instead of the obligation. You said no. The silence that followed was the moment power whispered your name. No longer a passenger, now the architect of your boundaries. The stakes are total. Keep everything and you implode. Cut ruthlessly and you ascend. Every severed tie clears your throne room. Every burned distraction sharpens your perception. Every no turns acquiescence into fear. Stop honoring the expectations of the weak. Honor your own power. Become sovereign over your attention, your focus, your will. Do not be crushed by the clutter. Come unbreakable through elimination. Cut away, command your throne. Therefore, it is unnecessary for a prince to have all the good qualities I have enumerated. But it is very necessary to appear to have them. Machiavelli's decree is not advice. It's war strategy. You don the mask not because you are unbroken, but because to show weakness is to bleed strength. You are a predator hiding its limp. A lion may be wounded, yet it never limps in public. Every falter, every wince becomes blood in the water, an invitation to vultures, rivals, predators of chaos. You must stay upright. You must appear untouchable. Let your composure be armor. Let your image be the fortress no one dares breach. Not all wounds are visible, and not all leaders who fell succumbed to actual weakness. Many crumbled because they revealed cracks. A slight hesitation, a tremor in voice, a moment of doubt leaked in broadcast, and suddenly the throne trembled. This is how empires fall, not from enemy swords, but from the smell of insecurity. In every age, image and perception have been as lethal as any weapon. Machiavelli taught that to appear merciful, upright, faithful, even if silently you are poised to be ruthless, is indispensable. This mask is not hypocrisy, it is survival. It protects before you even draw your sword. It keeps the vultures at bay by convincing them there's nothing to harvest. Think of modern corporate boardrooms or political arenas. You walk into a room, watchful, even in personal defeat, because showing that jitter shakes the ground beneath you. Floorboards crack at a leader's doubt. You don't scowl, you don't whine, you don't limp. You hold your posture, impervious, infallible. They must perceive you as the throne incarnate. This mask of command is not optional. It is your first line of defense. Command your face. Command your posture. Even when your heart races, your knees tremble, your mind fractures, never let them see it. Hold the silence. Hold the gaze. Hold the throne. Now feel the stakes. If you show uncertainty, vultures swarm. They circle your reputation. They chip away at confidence. If you keep your composure, the same vultures hesitate. They doubt their calculations. They say, no easy kill here. You must become that myth, unshakable even as the ground quakes under your feet. Fortify your image with every breath. Let your mask be stronger than the wound beneath. Appear strong, bleed in silence. No enterprise is more likely to succeed than one concealed from the enemy until it is ripe for execution. Machiavelli's insight cuts deeper than any blade. You become the assassin who strikes in shadow. You do not need to battle openly to win. Instead, you let rivals collapse under their own weight while you remain still, silent, unmoving, lethal. That is indirect warfare. The art of letting enemies destroy themselves while you preserve your strength. Some people rush, they push, they argue. They reveal their position with the first move, desperate to prove themselves. And in that haste, they expose their vulnerabilities. You do the opposite. You wait, you hold, you observe. You become the landscape on which the storm rages, not the storm itself. When they stumble, you watch. When they fall, you remain unscathed. You plant seeds of doubt, not through argument, but through presence. A look, a silence, a question never asked. These are your weapons. They whisper in the mind of your rival. Are they hiding something? Are they stronger than the noise suggests? Now they spend energy unraveling illusions. They fracture under the weight of their own uncertainty. You never had to swing. Imagine poison slipped into wine, undetectable until the system fails. That is your method. You do not lift a sword. You do not raise a voice. You let their own structures crumble by exposing the smallest fracture. The collapse is total, but you remain untouched. A surgeon's strike, invisible and clean. Seen in modern politics, corporate rivalries, or social power plays, this is the strategy of those who dominate without lifting a finger. You don't confront, you insinuate. You let the other side show all their cards while you hold back. Then, at the moment of reckoning, you're already miles ahead. You must become the silent predator in every conflict. Let others make noise. Let them wrestle with their own chaos. You watch them unravel. Then you act. Surgically precise. The enemy is gone. You remain calm, intact, sovereign. You are not defined by the strength of your sword, but by the precision of your silence. Remain invisible until execution is assured. Strike without presence. Win without battle. Silence kills. It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. Machiavelli's words are not relics. They are a blazing torch for those who dare to harness their inner wolf. Inside you lies a silent pack, ambition, rage, hunger, each a wolf, waiting to either devour or defend your throne. These are not weaknesses to be denied. They are forces to be mastered. Starve them, and they turn on you. Feed them wisely, and they become your fiercest guardians. Anger, when uncontrolled, becomes a wildfire. It scorches relationships, derails focus, weakens your throne. But when you shape it, bend it into discipline, it becomes a blade sharper than steel. You redirect that fierce energy into relentless training, deepened focus, iron resolve. You do not let it consume you. You channel it. You become the hunter, not the prey. Dark impulses, greed, envy, dominance, are the wolf in the shadows we all pretend doesn't exist. You stop pretending. You befriend that wolf. You train it. Let it stand as your edge in the cold. Accepting that darkness is not a fall. It is your forge. You do not hide it. You arm it with purpose. This is not theory. It echoes Machiavelli's logic. A ruler must sometimes be feared more than loved, because fear is reliable, love is conditional. When your inner wolf is disciplined, your presence is fear incarnate, not through cruelty, but through inevitability. This disciplined wolf respects no obstacle. In every negotiation, every silent boardroom, every inner dialogue at 3 a.m., your wolf waits. You feed it with each calculated move, each controlled reaction, each step toward power. You reject weakness, not by denial, but by mastering it. Every time you breathe through anger, instead of erupting, every time you pursue when others flee, every time you stare into chaos and refine it, you feed your wolf. You become fear wrapped in composure. To ignore those drives is to cage your strength. To embrace them with discipline is to command your destiny. Your wolf is not your enemy. It is your sentinel. Feed your wolf with discipline. Let it guard your throne. Hunger fuels power. It is just as difficult to try to free a people that wants to remain servile as it is to enslave a people that wants to remain free. Machiavelli's words cut deep. Power is not seized in a moment. It is maneuvered, positioned, and wrenched into place over time. Every encounter in your life, every word you speak, every silence you hold, every image you project is a move on a vast chessboard. A careless word is a pawn advanced into danger. A strategic silence is a trap that lures the enemy into exposing his king. You understand this. You sit at the board, not to win one battle, but to dominate the entire game. Imagine today's world as a palace of shifting alliances and hidden motives. At a conference, your glance signals a shift in power. In an email, your phrasing shifts the tone. Each appearance, each story you tell, is a piece placed in a grander plan. Control those moves. Control the board. You know about sacrifice. The pawn you sacrifice is not loss. It is leverage. You give up the trivial to corner the vital. You let go of short-term comfort to claim long-term dominance. You see the future in moves others dismiss as insignificant. You understand that empires fall not by a single blow, but by being consistently outpositioned. Each missed opportunity, each miscalculation, each surrender of initiative, it accumulates. It breeds decay. Your power is not in force, it is in positioning. When others rush, you stay patient. When they lunge, you wait. You build your advantage quietly, invisibly, until the moment your king stands uncontested. It is not charisma. It is not a grand gesture. It is the quiet mastery of where you stand, where you direct your attention, and when you strike or when you simply remain still. Win your arenas, boards, dialogues, relationships, not with noise but with placement. Sacrifice strategically. Let others burn their momentum in reactive moves. Then, when the time is yours, you assert your position so decisively that all retreat before your inevitability. Every life is a long campaign. Position yourself at every turn. Dominate the board. Position before power. It is better to conquer yourself than to win 1,000 battles. Machiavelli's insight is not ancient echo. It is the smithy where your will is forged. Discipline is not born from rage. It is earned through ritual. You do not wake up and hope for strength. You forge it daily. The samurai bound by Bushido trained relentlessly. Their calm in battle wasn't born in chaos. It was hammered in mornings of meditation, hours of sword practice, and the unwavering repetition of duty. That same ritual shaped Roman legionaries. Each dawn, disciplined routines, inspection, drills, construction, and patrol instilled invincible resolve. Their empire was built by steel forged through structured repetition. You are not mythical, but you can live with their focus. Your modern rituals, cold showers at dawn, disciplined journaling, sweat-fueled movement, the quiet pre-dawn breath are your battlefield drills. Your mind is the steel. Your ritual is the hammer. Every drop of discipline sharpens your edge. Think of your morning writing habit as a drill. It is not creativity unleashed. It is your blade being honed. The discipline of showing up, word by word, is ritual. Think of your push-ups, your silent breath, your controlled pause before reacting. These are not small acts, they are sharpening strokes. The samurai's ritual was not mystical, it was consistent. The Roman soldier's drill was not glamorous, it was relentless, and their power came from their rituals growing invisible in every breath, every stance, every dawn. You need that. Every time you choose structure over distraction, every time you control your breath intention, when you write with precision at 4 a.m., when you push past comfort, it is you forging will. You are forging yourself into steel. Without this, your throne becomes brittle. With it, you become unbreakable. Command your rituals, shape them with purpose, repeat them without mercy. In this, you transform from iron-willed apprentice into emperor of your own discipline. Ritual forges steel. Therefore, the best fortress which a prince can possess is the affection of his people. Machiavelli's sharpest insight reminds you, real strength is not in walls, but in the quiet certainty of standing untouched by assault. You become the mountain, unmoved as storms lash around you. When you need nothing, no one can bribe or bait you. Desire is a chain. Detachment, that is your steel. Others swing at you with lure and bait. You smile, you stand, you ask for nothing, so no blade ever touches you. That is a fortress. Your reputation is your shield. The name feared and respected is a moat no enemy crosses. When people believe you are untouchable, they hesitate, they weigh motives, they falter before turning toward you. Build your presence with consistency, refine your posture, speak less, act more. Let your silence be interpreted as inevitability. Let your image guard you. Imagine the mountain. It doesn't fight the storm. It outlasts it. Rain pounds, wind rages, but the mountain endures unchanged. So must you. Let the world unleash chaos. You remain still. You absorb. You persist. The storm tires, it flees. When voices scream, stay silent. When panic clouds the minds around you, breathe calmly. Become unmoved. The stakes are total. If you are attached, you can be manipulated. If your reputation cracks, enemies taste weakness. But if you need nothing and are perceived as immovable, you are untouchable. They hesitate, they recalculate, they surrender battles before they start. You must detach, burn dependencies, build reputation with deliberate consistency, stand like the mountain, wait. The storms exhaust themselves, then you move with apex precision, and every move you make matters, for you have already become inevitable. Stand unmoved, rule unchallenged. To subdue the enemy without fighting, that is the true pinnacle of skill. Sun Tzu's words cut deeper than any battlefield blade. Imagine a silent empire where no sword ever needs to be drawn. You embody the power that dismantles rivals with barely a gesture, outlasts storms without flinch, and rules from the shadows of inevitability. This is your final form, the silent empire. Your restraint becomes domination. While others charge and clash, you hold your ground. Your stillness, unyielding, calculated, potent, becomes their battlefield. In their desperate rush to defeat you, they collapse under their own fury and haste. They fuel their own downfall. You do not strike, you wait. They destroy themselves on the terrain you control. The war they wage is emotional. Distractions, outrage, confusion. These are their ammunition. But you respond with silence. You meet chaotic fire with unmoving ice. You neutralize their weapons without lifting a blade. Every frantic call, every reaction they provoke, they fall deeper into your trap. You let their own chaos burn them out. Then you stand, calm, unbroken. Great rulers, from Machiavelli to Sun Tzu, embodied this silent empire. Machiavelli taught that the best fortress is not built of stone, but of reputation and foresight. Sun Tzu declared that subduing the enemy without fighting is the acme of skill. These are not distant lessons, they are your blueprint. In modern life, the battles are subtle. In boardrooms, negotiations, or the quiet scroll through social media, you win by positioning, not by uproar. You withhold reaction, you withhold validation, you let others overcommit. They signal their strategy, they expose their fear, and before they know it, they've checkmated themselves. Every decision becomes an extension of your empire. Every silence, every withheld word, every deliberate pause is territory gained. Rivals flail, allies align. You ascend not through force, but through the inevitability of your presence. This is power beyond confrontation. It is domination without effort. It is an empire built in shadows. Stand as the silent emperor. Rule without drawing your blade. Dominate in silence. The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him. Machiavelli's reminder cuts deeper than a sword. It tells you that power does not begin in the battlefield, but in the fortress of your mind. If you cannot rule yourself, if you cannot command silence within your own spirit, then you are nothing but a pawn dressed as a king. Now your final command stands before you: rule without fighting. Understand this: every war you think you must fight outside of yourself is already lost. If you cannot govern the storms inside, the loud man, the one who reacts, who argues, who shows his anger, he bleeds strength in every word. The silent man, the one who holds, who restrains, who listens, he bends the world without raising his hand. To master yourself is to annihilate weakness before an enemy can ever see it. Fear, anger, hunger, lust for validation, these are assassins hidden inside you. If you leave them unchecked, they will open the gates to your enemies before the war even begins. But if you seize them, chain them, and turn them into your soldiers, you cannot be broken. Your own impulses become the walls of your fortress, your discipline the iron gate. No blade can cut through. Think of modern life as an endless battlefield of noise. Scream for your attention. Enemies bait you into pointless wars with words. Rivals flash illusions of strength. But the throne does not belong to the loudest. It belongs to the one who cannot be moved. When you no longer need their approval, their validation, their recognition, you become untouchable. The world throws storms, and you stand as the mountain. Imagine this: two men insulted in public. One explodes, swears, throws his fists, and wins nothing but shame. The other smiles faintly, says nothing, and walks away as though untouched. Who looked weaker? Who looked stronger? The answer is obvious. The man who mastered silence held the room, while the one who lost control surrendered his crown. That is the essence of ruling without fighting. Your presence must speak louder than any weapon. Your discipline must echo louder than your words. Your silence must weigh heavier than their attacks. Because when you need nothing, you cannot be bribed. When you fear nothing, you cannot be broken. And when you stand still, your enemies destroy themselves in their desperate attempts to move you. This is not theory. It is law. Power is not taken in chaos. Power is taken in stillness. If you can rule yourself, you can rule your world. So I leave you with your final command. Engrave these words in your mind. Carry them like your shield and live them daily. Control is conquest. Silence is strength. Power is presence.